The final news update for Mortal Kombat's Legacy Collection. That's right, today's video will cover literally everything about this upcoming bundle. There's some good news and some bad news that both needs to be discussed. For example, the rarest Mortal Kombat ever made is in this bundle. Less than 1% of people on Earth have played this game, and it's in the collection. I'll be your one-stop source for all the information on this collection. Let me know any thoughts you have in the comments down below. Even though today's video should cover everything, let me know any questions you still have down below. And then while you're down there, leave a like if you enjoyed today's video as well, and subscribe if you're new. If today's video gets 3,000 likes, I'll do something crazy like shave my entire beard this time. Last time I kept the mustache, but hey, if y'all get 3,000 likes on today's video, I'll shave the entire thing. Another day means more Mortal Kombat news. I'm covering it all the time, so subscribe and ring that bell so you never miss any future videos. Now without any further ado, let's begin. Alright, the Mortal Kombat Legacy Collection. Literally everything you could know crammed into one convenient video. As mentioned earlier, there's good news and bad news. I'm gonna layer it like a news sandwich. Something good, then something bad, something good, something bad, you get the idea. So let's begin with something good. WaveNet has been announced. That's actually incredible. I bet many of you watching did not even know about WaveNet because I forgot about this too. Essentially, back in the day, there was like 1 or 2 arcade cabinets that had online play for Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3, and these very rare arcade cabinets were known as WaveNet. They added Noob Saibot to the roster and also rebalanced the game a bit. So some characters got nerfed, some characters got buffed, you get the idea. And of course the craziest part was online play. Arcade cabinets having online was a big deal back then. And like I just mentioned, only 2 arcade cabinets or so ever existed with the WaveNet version of Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3. It was extremely rare. In fact, these arcade cabinets were in the testing phase, which is why there was only 2. They were being tested. And in modern day, people just assumed the WaveNet version got lost, right, to time, because you only had like 2 arcade cabinets or something. But look at that, Digital Eclipse brought it back, which means now we can actually play the WaveNet version of UMK3, which is going to be incredible. Almost nobody's ever played this thing, because once again, there was 2 cabinets or something crazy like that, very rare. And it was also the first time Noob Saibot was playable, which is why that's showcased in the trailer. And for a fun fact, I just realized something really cool. The reason Noob Saibot uses green attacks in Mortal Kombat 1 is a direct reference to the WaveNet game. Yeah, how cool is that? It's a direct reference to the first time Noob was playable. So that's the good news. Now it's time for some bad news. Mortal Kombat Gold has been officially deconfirmed. That's right, there is no hope left. Mortal Kombat Gold is not going to be included in the Legacy Collection, which is very unfortunate and disheartening. I don't get why it's not included. Maybe it could be DLC in the future, but honestly, even that's not likely. I'll keep my fingers crossed, but chances are we're never going to get Mortal Kombat Gold in the Legacy Collection. So that's definitely some bad news, and also Shaolin Monks is not going to be included along with any PlayStation 2 game or any game after that. So just to be clear, in case anybody watching was holding out on Deadly Alliance or Deception or Mortal Kombat 9, any of those games whatsoever, I'm telling you right now, look in my eyes, those games are never going to be included in the Legacy Collection, alright? They're not going to be there. And for me personally, I knew that. I never once thought these games would be included in the bundle, but some people did. So I'm letting you know right now, there will be no PlayStation 2 games or onward for this collection. However, Deadly Alliance is included on the Game Boy Advance and some other weird consoles of that nature, but not the main ones like PlayStation 2 and similar consoles. Okay, you're not gonna get that in the Legacy Collection. It's just not gonna happen. And we know that for a fact because Digital Eclipse themselves said so in the recent trailer. There's no more secrets. To quote them verbatim, there's no mysteries left for this bundle. Every single game has been announced that will be included, which is why I said even DLC is not likely, but I will ask developers themselves about that in particular this next week when PAX West is happening, because I'll be there and I can speak with the devs and ask them some questions, which means some games could be added for DLC maybe, but I would not hold your breath, right? It's very unlikely, because I don't think developers have ever even hinted at DLC being added to the Legacy bundle, so just keep that in mind. Alright, time for some more good news. Mortal Kombat Mythologies and special forces will be included in the collection. And for mythologies in particular, there's a way to roll back your mistakes, so the game's actually gonna be completable for normies like you and me. For anyone watching who might not be aware, Mortal Kombat Mythology Sub-Zero is an infamously difficult game because the platforming is really difficult, the AI is super cheap and hits you from off screen, and the environment itself is also constantly trying to kill you. And back in the day, I think you had limited lives too, like Super Mario Brothers. You couldn't just keep dying and retrying over and over again. But that's not the case for this new version. You can rewind your mistakes and just try over and over again until eventually you do beat this very difficult game. But the good news does not stop there. It turns out the Legacy Collection will have fatality practice for the classic Mortal Kombat games. How cool is that? Modern games already have this, right? A separate mode where you can practice fatalities at your leisure and then get them perfect before going online or playing the arcade ladder, all that stuff. But the original games never had this back in the day. It's a completely new feature, and honestly, it's needed because the classic Mortal Kombat games did not give you very much time for fatalities. And I'm not joking, everyone. For some of these games, the window for your fatality is so short that your character couldn't even get to the right distance to do the fatality before the timer ran out. Instead, you had to already be close to that sweet spot to even do the fatality. So for example, let's say you're playing Noob Saibot and his fatality requires you to be far away. If you won the match near the opponent, you would not have time to get full screen to do the fatality. That's how short the timing was, which is not a unique situation in these classic games. For many characters, it was very tough to get that fatality off, so having a fatality practice is going to be such a godsend. Now, technically, I should mention some bad news at this point, but I don't think there is any more bad news, so let's just keep the good news coming. Because get this, the Legacy Collection also has a complete timeline to look through with video diaries, text documentation, all that stuff. It's honestly really cool, and I'll put it up on screen right now. You can see the full timeline of the Mortal Kombat games and their production process, which I think is super neat. Because I'm one of those people who loves to learn everything about the games I enjoy. For example, back in the day, God of War 3 had this 3 hours behind the scenes video disc that covered everything about the game's production, and I would watch that thing on like a weekly basis. It was so cool to me. So yeah, I'm one of those nerds who likes to know anything and everything. So for me personally, this inclusion of a full Mortal Kombat production timeline of all the different games is so cool. And of course, there's also gonna be concept art from Tobias himself and maybe some other artists too, along with behind the scenes videos, footage, a lot of which has never been seen before apparently. It's gonna become public for the first time ever in this collection, so that's super sick. But this next feature is also really cool to me. There's biographies for every character in the games, and you can cycle through the different sprites for that character in every game in this collection, which I find super cool. So for example, you can pick Liu Kang, read his bio, and then swap between his different sprites from the first game, Mortal Kombat 2, Mortal Kombat 3, and onto Trilogy, and also Mortal Kombat 4. How cool is that? And literally every character in this collection has that feature, so even Stryker, who's only in like 2 games, still has this option. And yeah, I think that's all the main news for the Mortal Kombat Legacy Collection. So to end this video, I'll just share my thoughts. Obviously, I'm very bummed that Mortal Kombat Gold is not going to be included. And also, I'm kind of scratching my head at the weird mobile game versions like Deadly Alliance on the Game Boy Advance. Choosing to include those games instead of Mortal Kombat Gold feels a bit strange to me, but also preservation is a big deal, right? And that's one of the main reasons these collections are being made. The developers want to make sure these extra rare versions of Mortal Kombat games get to live on for much longer. So as a result, if they didn't include the Game Boy Advance version and other weird spin-off versions of these games, then they would just get lost to history, and obviously nobody wants that to happen. And on that same note, if this game sells really well and tons of people buy it, we very likely could get a 3D era collection as well in the future. So for example, Deadly Alliance, Deception, Armageddon, Shaolin Monks, all those awesome games would be included in a bundle also, which I think would be very cool. None of them are gonna make it in the Legacy Collection, but that's okay, because I think including all these classic games together is already impressive, because keep in mind, it's not just Mortal Kombat 3, it's Mortal Kombat 3 on every single platform it was ever playable on. That's right, and the same goes for Mortal Kombat 2 and the original Mortal Kombat. You have every single version of these games at your fingertips in this Legacy Collection, which as mentioned earlier is the main point of this bundle. It's all about game preservation, so even if most of us will never play those weird mobile versions of the game, they're still being preserved, which is a big deal. deal. You don't want games to get lost to history. But alright everyone, thanks for watching and I hope you enjoyed. Comment any other questions you have down below. And then while you're down there, leave a like if you enjoyed the video. If we get 3,000 likes, I'll shave my beard and the mustache this time. That's right, no survivors. And of course, for anybody new to this channel, make sure to subscribe and ring that bell so you never miss any future videos. I'm basically one of the only YouTubers who makes daily Mortal Kombat content, so yeah, make sure you subscribe. Everyone, make sure to come back next time, and as always, stay underdogs.